I have an intelligent, a smart, a sensible, an open-minded person, a wise person with me here. In the name of Mr. Godfred Osei Amankwa. Welcome to Crooked Traveler Channel.
I really appreciate this. This means a lot to me. Godfred Osei is a young guy born in a village which is not demographically captured, called Nankese in Eastern Region, Ghana. I hold an MPhil in Peace and Development Studies. I have been serving as a research assistant here at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. I happen to be a member of the Transparency Working Group on Terrorism for the Global Internet Forum for Counter-Terrorism. I'm basically into human security. I would describe myself as a researcher. I would describe myself as an analyst. Right from infancy, I have had that mediation kind of gift, if I should say it that way. It's not been easy, but it comes with the work. To be able to analyze well is supposed to be research-based. From the peace perspective, we believe that the individual is innately violent. When these people have jobs, they will not be used as tools for violence no more. We have the youthful population, we have individuals who have gone to school and they are seeking for places to put their talents to use. And our politicians have refused to fulfill these aspects. But here we are. We still have youth who don't have jobs. So we can manage conflicts to a point where they don't escalate or go beyond that which we can't find solutions to. As individuals, we should always put ourselves in the shoes of others. In whatever thing that we do, we should know that where our freedom ends is where the other people's freedom also begins.
It's Liquid Mix.
Sa City. Team Nobody. Hey, men down. Asabia na bom down. I late to appear. Oh my God. At the final bobu on the towo. Eh, could your vibes right be? I visit say na get 10 billion. Bagare, la mo Casio. My one time be at the patio. Boy, better. Boy, melody. If I tell them my story, they know they believe me. Now so say, Obeshe Ebra, maybe wrong. Ewo Akran.
So, sir, welcome to Crooked Traveler Channel.
Thank you. I must first of all self-profess that I am gladdened within my spirit for having been given this opportunity to be on a Gynamos platform as this. It has always been rare for people to consider individuals in my field for media interviews of this nature, and so I really appreciate this. This means a lot to me. And moving forward, my name, as you rightly mentioned, is Godfred Osei, a young guy born in a village which is not demographically captured, called Nankese in Eastern Region, Ghana. I attended Herman Preparatory School, also in Nankese as well. From there, I went to Godfred Secondary School, and by dint of hard work, I had the opportunity to be at the University of Cape Coast, #1 in West Africa. And I have also been brought up in this rural area, having learned a lot from the people out there, because these are people who live a communal life and they try to make the problem of each other theirs. It is more or less one of the main reasons for which I have been able to forge this path, because the people out there are naturally peaceful, and I hold an MPhil in peace and development studies. And over the past few years, I have been serving as a research assistant here at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. And then I happen to have been awarded by Tana High Level Forum on Security in the year 2019, when I did a work which captured the conflict instances in the Horn of Africa and how best we can find lasting solutions to the myriads of conflicts that confront the people in the Horn of Africa, talking about countries like Kenya and countries like Eritrea, amongst others. That notwithstanding, on that particular day where I had the chance to stand in front of eminent people from diverse parts of the world, I presented on how best we can ensure that at the end of the day, we don't just leave the program as we came, but as people who have that urge to employ Pan-Africanism as a means of finding lasting solutions to our own problems or conflicts that confront us. And the feedback from the audience was quite okay. Aside these two, I happen to be a member of the Transparency Working Group on Terrorism for the Global Internet Forum for Counter-Terrorism. And as part of that, the roles that we play include undertaking vigorous research works and also trying to come out with early warning systems and putting such mechanisms in place to ensure that when we detect any form of message or information online that hinges on terrorism, we try as much as possible to flag it out. So we have technical men and people from the tech industry, people from the academic, amongst others, who employ various means to detect issues of counterterrorism online. Again, my role as a research assistant gives me the opportunity to do peace education and also meet people in the community, where we try as much as possible to offer them education on emerging security issues in Ghana. So sometimes I take to my usual Facebook section to write on emerging security issues and the way forward for us in foiling such instances. So that's basically what I've been about, researching on issues in sub-Saharan Africa that borders on security. And if I'm to mention my area of interest, I would say that I'm basically into human security, and human security in the sense that following the end of the Cold War, security issues have moved from state-centric issues, where most of the things that distorted the peace of individuals were particularly concerned with one state and the other, in the form of maybe, let's say, conflicts that bordered around one country and the other, or interstate conflicts. But following the end of the Cold War, issues that distort peace and security of individuals is more or less one that involves the individual. And so we have moved from that kind of state-centric security to look at the welfare of individuals, or issues that poses existential threats to the lives of individuals, and that is what we call as human security. And the term was popularized during the reports of the UNDP in 1994. And some of the themes that it covers include political security, food security, health security, community security, among others. So most of the issues that are happening in Ghana falls within this purview as well. And if we take issues like political vigilantism, if we take issues like military brutality and all that, they are things that engulf the Ghanaian people. And so we can look at it from that human security lens.
So, like, if I'm to ask, what's is your main profession? Like, from all what you said, like, what exactly is your main profession?
Yes, thank you for that question. I feel mine is a mixed bag in the sense that I would describe myself as a researcher. I would describe myself as an analyst, and then above all, I teach. So I'm a teacher.
What do you analyze?
Specifically, human security and issues that are predicated on existential threats to the lives of individuals.
Okay. So what really inspired you to venture into this field?
Okay, I would say that growing up as a young boy, I have always seen my people back then in the village engage in myriads of conflicts, and in most cases, right from infancy, I have had that mediation kind of gift, if I should say it that way, where if my friends are fighting among themselves, I find a nice way to help resolve or redress the conflict. And so I said, why not? Having gotten the opportunity to be in the university, after my first degree, I decided to venture fully into a field where I will not only be passion driven, but I would employ or utilize both my passion and skills in helping to promulgate development on the part of our continent.
So mainly, you were talking about security. Yeah. Is it also related to like peace, to ensure peace? And
of course, when we are able to do things that promote security, then automatically those things will bring about peace as well. So,
but you know that there are institutions like the security services, like, and the traditional rulers, and also religious institutions. You know, all of them ensures that there is peace and security. But do you think that, them being available, your profession also is really relevant?
Yeah, those people that you mentioned, the national security apparatus, like the police, the military, they are legally or lawfully given that mandate to ensure that they promote law order, and then protect human rights as well. And then these ones can be described as protection agencies. That is not within my means to provide protection or security. So what I do basically is to provide some form of education to back the roles that are being played by these traditional authorities and our protection agencies.
That
So I feel the role of an analyst is still relevant in the sense that it acts as a guide to the traditional authorities and the protection agencies when it comes to the discharge of their roles. And then if we have analysts like myself too, it put them on their toes, because when they realize that there is another force that is always trying to appraise the work that they do, it sort of either give them that kind of urge to act dutifully and professionally. So I feel our role is very relevant. It's imperative for the work that they do.
So, what are some of the difficulties you faced ever since maybe some of the times you go on duty or those kind of things? The kind of
the things that I see as hurdles on my part include getting people to include in your research work. You know, to be able to make informed decisions or come out with the best of recommendations. As an academic, I believe in recommendations that are research-based, and in conducting especially qualitative research where you are supposed to go to the field, get respondents for whichever topic that you are looking at. It becomes cumbersome sometimes getting respondents for our study. For instance, when I had to do a work on political vigilantism as far back as 2019, when the issue was heated out there, if we can remember or recall the Ayawas West Wagon issue back then, when the people had gone to create all sorts of kerfuffle during the by-elections. That was when I had to go to the field and conduct a study on the same thing. And so getting respondents, with these sensitive issues of this nature, you go to the field. There were instances, some of them even came for interviews and they had guns on them. So just imagine doing recordings where people who had guns on them. It's not been easy, but it comes with the work. To be able to analyze well, it's supposed to be research-based. That is what I believe in. And when you go to the field, you hear from the informant's point of view. You sort of get a clear picture of the whole issue and how best you can come out with recommendations aimed at redressing them.
So in a normal setting, there are always people who are very stubborn, even when checks are put in place.
Yeah.
Maybe if you take about 100 people,
Yeah.
70 people conform to the kind of rules put in place,
Yeah.
and maybe 30% will still, do things on their own.
Yeah.
In these instances, what do you do? Like when some proportion of people listen to you guys and the others don't listen, how do you treat those people?
From the peace perspective, we believe that the individual is innately violent. All of us have gotten some element of aggressiveness in us. Each individual has gotten that innate trait, which, when triggered by other factors, causes you to resort to the usage of violence. And so we have a theory called frustration aggression theory, which implies that when an individual is frustrated for a very long time, especially when it comes to the quest for things that he or she feels should be entitled to, the person end up resorting to the use of violence. So for people to show that aspect of their innate feature, which is violence, is normal. And if we have a society made up of 100 people, as you said, there is the contingency that 30 people are naturally violent, and they are just looking for groupings or opportunity to exhibit their violence. Nonetheless, the best way to get these people on board, or to make them tools for peace rather than tools for perpetuating violence, is sensitization in the first place. And then two, I believe in education as well. In most cases, those who do not buy the idea of peace, from research, we can point out that majority of them fall within the illiteracy category, where when we look at political vigilantism, for instance, the youth that these politicians engage the most are those ones who are either illiterates or do not have higher level of education. So I'm glad that this time around we are having free education and other things that are meant to give these people the opportunity to be able to enhance at least their employability skills. Because when these people have jobs, they will not be used as tools for violence no more. When these people have the best of education, they will not end up being used as tools for violence. So those are the things that we calling out for, that while we will be doing our part by trumpeting and propagating all sorts of peace messages, the other players, the political parties, our politicians, and those with the audible voices should ensure that they do their own part of the social pact by ensuring that they make the jobs available, they provide alternative livelihood empowerment programs for these people. Because human needs is very key. When their needs are met, that is when they wouldn't see the need to use violence as means for achieving their ends. So
Yeah. So I was even about to ask about the employment aspect, because he said when people are employed, like when they get the education, they are employed, it will, prevent them from being into violence and those kind. So I was just about to ask that in the setting that we are in here in Ghana, employment is a very huge problem. Like people will go to school and when they come home, they don't get anything to do. So I wanted to ask about how about that? Because you said when people are educated, violence will go down. Yes, but if they're educated and they don't have work to do,
so
what happens?
When I was about ending, I think I chipped in that we should look at the two. We should look at educating as well as putting mechanisms in place to provide alternative livelihood empowerment programs for our roaring youthful population. And in Africa, talking about sub-Saharan Africa as a whole and Ghana as well, currently we have youth bulge. And when you have a youth bulge, where when you are unable to put in the best of measures to harness the talents that these youth have, they become agents for violence. On the flip side, if you are able to put in mechanisms to harness their talents, then they become agents for development. So that is where we are now. We have the youthful population, we have individuals who have gone to school and they are seeking for places to put their talents to use. And our politicians have refused to fulfill these aspects of their role, even though they come to us each and every year promising that they would solve the employability situations. They have failed in most cases. The NPP, the NDC, they all come to us during elections with slogans and different names, sometimes for the same program aimed at resolving the issue of unemployment. But here we are, we still have youth who don't have jobs. So when they go to them ahead of elections and again capitalize on that, promise them that if they are able to help them secure political power, they would give them jobs in the national security apparatus, where now it has become more or less like something indelible in our part of the world, where when they are going to elections, they go to their villages, tell the youth that if you use your strength in helping me gain power, I will ensure that you get jobs in the national security. And of course, we have some examples of people who have been employed in the national security by mere virtue of perpetuating violence for politicians. And if you have a country where the politicians themselves are fanning these flames, and on the other hand, they preach peace, then you know where we are heading towards. So the whole thing is about our youth bulge, where the available number of jobs that we have does not match up with the number of youthful population that we have. So the earlier they nip this in the bud by prioritizing employment or ensuring that a lot of investors will come in and offer our youth some sort of means of employment, the earlier the better for us as a country.
So do you believe that a time will come that violence will vanish and only peace will prevail?
As people from peace, we see conflict or violence as ubiquitous. That is something that is bound to happen. So long as there is social interaction, so long as individuals continually exchange among themselves. And individuals are gregarious animals where we live by socially interacting. So long as that thing will never end, then the possibility that conflict or violence will happen is also higher. Nonetheless, we believe that conflicts can be managed. So I don't see a society where conflict or violence will completely vanish, but I feel we can manage conflicts to a point where they don't escalate or go beyond that which we can't find solutions to. So conflict can be managed, but I don't see a society without violence or conflict. Of course, I told you individuals are innately violent.
Yes. All right. Mr. Godfred, thank you so much for this conversation. But before we wrap up, would you like to tell people out there something that they should do just to prevent conflict or violence so that peace will be in the whole world? Maybe some information to them.
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is as individuals, we should always put ourselves in the shoes of others. In whatever thing that we do, we should know that where our freedom ends is where the other people's freedom also begins. So whatever society that you find yourself, you should ensure that you act in a way that does not distort the peace of other people. You know, again, if you are in a society, you should make yourself an agent for change. When you see yourself as that global citizen who is expected to contribute his own quota in promoting sustainable development for generations unborn, then automatically you become an agent for peace. So that is how we should see it, that if it is this land that we have gotten, this land is not just meant for us. It is something meant for generations unborn. And what we are supposed to do is to preserve it or use it in a nice manner that we can have it in abundance as it is for generations unborn. So whatever thing that you do that is going to cause the generations unborn not to enjoy what we are enjoying now is a threat to peace. And those are the things that we should try to avoid. And then particularly to the youth, we should begin to work on building our capacity and then improving our employability skills. So while I'm telling the politicians to make their jobs available, we shouldn't also relax. We should also build our capacity so that when the opportunities come, we'll grab them as well. And I believe that if all of us should take advantage of the education system we have and reorient ourselves, we'll get to a place where we can live blissfully here. So those are the key things that I feel we should critically look at.
All right. Thank you so much. So guys, you heard Mr. Godfred Osei Amankwa. You know, he's a very great gentleman, and I know you guys really enjoy the conversation. So what I will urge you to do is just to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button or bell so you become part of this Strive family. Like this video and also leave a comment. Say something about this conversation, what you heard here, and what contribution you also want to make. If you want to contact him or if you want to appreciate what he has given us on the channel, it's also accepted. Just leave a comment down there. Let's all have fun and also learn so that there will be peace in the whole world. Like I always say on here, we always strive for glory, we strive for success, we strive for travels and anything important. And today we are striving for peace. That is what we are doing over here. Your boy Melody, and I'll see you in the next one.
If you know make money, friends go dog you. Nobody said go love you. You first step up your hustle, cause one day you gonna make it. If you don't make money, friends go dog you. Nobody said go love you. You first step up your hustle, cause one day, you gotta love me now.